10 Shocking Secrets about Henry VIII that will haunt you forever. In the flickering candlelight of England's past, secrets twist and writhe like shadows on the walls of a long-forgotten castle. Henry VIII, the king notorious for slicing off heads and hearts, hides horrific truths beneath his regal armor. Who could guess that the breath of a ghost, a wailing spectre of Anne Boleyn, still haunts the Hall of Mirrors, where she lost her head? Those who dare tread there often hear her chilling cries, echoing the pain of betrayal, a reminder of power's deadly price. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Picture this: legends say Henry hunted down a cursed parchment, one that promised immortality, only to find it riddled with spells that twisted the souls of those who sought it. Can you imagine the desperation in his eyes? The sheer madness coursing through his veins as he grasped for eternal life? This parchment, they say, danced on his lips, drawing him deeper into darkness with every frantic breath. And then there's the scandal of his 6 wives. Each one, a fortune in blood stained with the ambition of a man too powerful to be stopped. Can you feel the weight of their fear? The oppressive despair as they stood in his shadow, knowing the fate that awaited them? Take Catherine of Aragon, for instance. She wasn't just a queen, she was a formidable woman in a world dominated by men. Yet, she was thrown aside like discarded parchment, her heart crushed beneath the wheel of Henry's desires. As whispers of his infamous reign spread through the streets, the townsfolk avoided eye contact, their stomachs twisting at the thought of royal vengeance. Kings, especially ones with blood on their hands, unyielding and wild, cast shadows too long to escape. The atmosphere buzzed with anxiety, heavy and palpable, as tales of ghosts and cursed relics seeped through every crevice of the kingdom, tension crackling like electricity in the air. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the sun dipped below the horizon, plunging London into a twilight drenched with haunting echoes, one question burned in every heart: what depths would Henry descend to next? The lines between legend and reality blurred, and dark whispers of a hidden chamber crept through the royal courtyards. Was it true? Did a secret passageway still exist within the castle's crumbling walls, leading to a treasure or a curse? Anxiety pooled in the pit of stomachs everywhere, each person subtly glancing over their shoulders. Would they dare uncover the truth, or would it remain buried with the ghosts of those who had come before? The following night, the air hung thick with an unsettling tension. A dense fog wrapped the castle like an embrace, whispering secrets to anyone who dared listen. It moved through the narrow alleys, reaching even the guarded doors of those closest to the king. And within those stone walls, eyes flickered with a mixture of dread and curiosity. Young Thomas, a page in Henry's court, felt the weight of the king's legacy on his shoulders. He had heard the stories. Of course he was one of the many tasked with fetching candles to light the corridors after dusk or running errands to the kitchens. The horrific fates of the king's wives spun in his mind like a nightmarish carousel. As he stood at the edge of the Hall of Mirrors, the whispers intensified, rising above the sounds of far-off thunder, creating a chorus of ghosts urging him to discover the hidden chamber. Just a glimpse, that's all, he muttered to himself, determination flaring in his chest like a roaring fire. A reluctant step in the shadows revealed the long-forgotten legends etched into the stones around him. He could almost hear Anne Boleyn's cries, each one like a dagger, striking where it hurt the most. The other court members often laughed at his fascination with the past, calling him foolish for dwelling on ghosts instead of the present. But deep down, Thomas knew that they, too, felt the weight of darkness that hung over the kingdom. If the spectral cries were anything to go by, the souls of those betrayed demanded answers, and Henry was their unwilling keeper. Driven by a force greater than fear, he pushed deeper into the hall, the flickering flames throwing jittery shadows that danced across the stone. The cold air pricked at his skin, but it was the electrifying sense of danger that quickened his heart. He had to know, with each step, the air grew denser, charged with the weight of curses and madness. The whispers became clearer, pulling him toward a narrow passage hidden behind a faded tapestry. Thomas hesitated, glancing over his shoulder as the hollow croaks of the castle echoed around him, sending shivers down his spine. Were the ghosts aware of his presence? Did they yearn for him to uncover the truth or to seal his own fate? He steeled himself and entered the hidden passageway. It felt like stepping into another world. The stone was cool and damp, the darkness wrapping around him like a thick cloak. And then he saw a glimmer of light up ahead. Hesitating only for a moment, he pressed forward. As he neared the flickering glow, he stumbled upon a small chamber filled with artifacts that seemed to hum with energy. A cursed parchment resting atop a pedestal, its markings twisted and eerie, a relic of the king's desperate search. The legends flooded back, the memories of the tales he'd overheard in hushed whispers. But before he could reach out to touch it, a low growl echoed in the shadows, vibrating through the stone walls. It was as if the castle itself had awakened. Panic surged within him. No longer just tales and shadows, he was part of something much darker. The temperature dropped, and Thomas felt a presence looming behind him, heavy like lead, wrapping around his throat. "Who dares disturb my sanctuary?" The voice echoed, chilling him to the bone. He froze, heart pounding as the reality of his situation crashed down upon him. The ghostly figures of the past were not merely phantoms, but guards to secrets long buried. And Thomas had unwittingly walked into their lair, with nowhere to escape. He realized he had awakened more than just chilling whispers. What darkness awaited him? What legacy would he have to confront? Before he could think further, the walls of the chamber began to tremble, and the haunting presence inched closer, ready to unveil the truth or destroy anyone who dared seek it. Would this be the end for Thomas, or would he uncover the true horrors lurking in royal history? The darkness thickened, wrapping around Thomas like a wet blanket as he tried to steady his breath. The growling presence behind him was palpable, a looming shadow that bled into the flickering light. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to flee from the whispers and the gloom, but his feet felt glued to the stone floor, terror keeping him rooted in place. "Who dares disturb my sanctuary?" The voice, echoing through the chamber, was a chilling reminder of the stakes. Just as he gathered the courage to turn, a powerful force slammed against his back, pushing him forward. He stumbled into the center of the room, eyes wide as they roamed the artifacts that glimmered in the dim, eerie glow. Each piece seemed to pulse with a life of its own, an orchestra of shadows cast upon the walls by the flickering candlelight. The growl intensified into a guttural roar. You don't belong here." The words ripped through the silence like thunder. He spun around, his pulse racing, trying to pin down the source of the voice. As he did, he caught a glimpse of someone hovering in the corner of the chamber. A figure, translucent like mist, emerged from the darkness, a specter draped in regal rags, its eyes profound and hollow. "Release what you hold," the figure commanded, voice echoing like a bell tolling in the night. "What do you want?" Thomas gasped, barely able to form the words, his throat dry and raw. "To guard or to be guarded? It matters not to me." The spectre's form flickered, twisting with rage and an unspeakable sorrow. "The parchment. It condemns us all. Only the true heir can wield its power." "An heir?" Confusion wove through Thomas's fear like a thread. "What are you saying?" In an instant, knowledge poured into him, ancient secrets hidden within royal bloodlines. Depths of darkness that had trapped souls for centuries. It was a revelation that left him reeling, longing to understand yet terrified of the truth. "I'm not an heir. I'm just a page. Your blood carries more than you know." The ghost lunged forward, its hand reaching out like a claw. "To uncover the history, you must claim your birthright." The air shifted, a draft sweeping through the chamber. Thomas felt the parchment's pull, its dark energy rushing over him like ice. He wanted to fight it, but his curiosity ignited a dangerous flame within him. What if there was more to this legacy? What if he was meant for something greater than serving in the shadows? "Touch it," The spectre hissed, desperation tinged with longing. Awaken what lies in your father's blood. The parchment's marking seemed to writhe, glowing ever so faintly as if responsive to the weight of his thoughts. In the pit of his stomach, a fight brewed, a battle between fear of the cursed and the allure of the unknown. He reached his hand out hesitantly, the moment suspended in time. The spectre watched, pleading. Do not let fear bind you. Only then can you understand what must be done. Seal or salvation, your choice. Tension knotted in his chest as Thomas felt the icy grip of the ghost pressing closer. He hesitated, suspended on the edge of an abyss, decisions looming heavy. What if he had the strength to uncover the royal truths wrapped in shadows? His heart raced, torn between safety and destiny. And as his fingers brushed against the cursed parchment, the ground beneath him quaked violently. Darkness enveloped him, and the chamber erupted in chaos. Would he confront the past or be swallowed by it forever? As the echoes of the spectral cries clawed at the fringes of his mind, all Thomas could think was, what had he unleashed? The moment his fingers grazed the parchment, the world exploded in a symphony of shrieks and whispers. A surge of energy clawed at him, each heartbeat thrumming louder than the last, echoing the screams of tortured souls trapped in this spectral prison. The chamber warped around him, stone walls twisting as if they were alive, writhing in agony. A violent pulse emanated from the parchment, and with each thump, shadows danced with wicked abandon. No. The spectre's voice pierced through the chaos, sharp and commanding. You must resist. Do not let the darkness claim you. But Thomas was already drowning, the ink on the parchment swirling in an ethereal vortex, dragging him deeper into a chasm of secrets. His mind raced with visions, glimpses of bloodlines intertwined through time, ancestral memories surfacing like phantoms begging for release. Faces flashed before his eyes, lords and ladies, warriors and traitors bound by their choices, chained by their legacies. Focus. The spectre shouted, its form flickering in and out. The truth is both your weapon and your curse. You can break the chain. He struggled to draw a breath, his body trembling against the tidal wave of memories crashing over him. The weight of history pressed down like a lead blanket, squeezing the air from his lungs. He sunk to his knees, heart pounding like a drum as dread coiled around him. How? He gasped, desperation bleeding into every word. Remember who you are. Remember what drives you. The spectre's voice softened, a striking contrast to the chaos around them. You seek truth. Even if it leads you to unimaginable darkness. It is your right to know. A flicker of determination ignited within him. The parchment was alive, aware of his presence, as if it craved his confession. He closed his eyes, blocking out the chaos, centering himself. His pulse slowed. His breaths became deeper, more measured. With newfound strength, he grasped the edges of the parchment, connecting with it as if it were an extension of his very soul. Instead of fear, he welcomed the chilling knowledge that surged through him, setting his thoughts ablaze. Visions crystallized, betrayals, broken promises, and the rise and fall of kings. Each event a step in a cruel dance that led to a greater truth. The air, it's not merely by blood, he murmured, realization piercing through the shadows tangled in his mind. It's by choice. Exactly. The spectre's eyes flickered with a fierce light. That choice is your legacy. It shaped the past, now shape the future. With a roar, Thomas surged upward, emboldened. The parchment's power surged through him, a burning fire igniting the shadows. He could feel the relics in the room respond to his will, energies colliding as he waged war against the dark, but suddenly, a crushing weight pressed down on him, pulling him back into the void. Visions spiraled out of control. Dark shapes writhed and clawed at his consciousness like ravenous beasts. What the hell is this? He yelled, panic spilling forth as he struggled. I want to be consumed. Resist. Find your core. The spectre urged, voice rising above the symphony of chaos. He claimed the lives of many, do not let him take you. The realization struck him like a bolt of lightning. In this web of shadows, there lay a bond, a binding curse from one who had wielded this darkness long ago. A ghost entwined with Thomas's own blood. Who? Who is your master? Thomas shouted, fighting against the pull as his surroundings dissolved into a whirlpool of shadows and screams. Find out before it's too late. The spectre pleaded, desperation weaving through its plea. Your lineage will unveil both hunter and hunted. The presence of the chamber rippled, every shadow locking onto his gaze as if waiting for his decision. With his heart pounding, a name echoed in Thomas's mind, a name that rippled with secrets buried deep in the annals of time. As the darkness threatened to swallow him whole, he found his voice. I will uncover the truth. I will know. As the chamber began to collapse around him, crushing fate and legacy in its jaws, and even more. Daunting question emerged, clawing at him for attention: what would happen when the past finally caught up with him? With a deafening crash, the chamber imploded, shadows spiraling into a maelstrom of despair. Thomas felt the ground beneath him shift as if reality itself was unraveling. The screams intensified, morphing into a cacophony of torment that stung like ice on his skin. Hold on! He bellowed, fighting through the chaos. He remembered the spectre's words, the desperate plea hanging in the air. Digging deep within himself, he focused on the pulsing energy of the parchment still clutched in his trembling hands. With a surge of will, he resisted the encroaching shadows, grounding himself in the present, tearing a sliver of light from the depth of his memories. In this moment of tension, faces flashed before him once more, each representing choices made, paths taken. They tugged at him, urging him to remember his lineage. Your lineage, he mouthed, the words barely escaping his lips as he felt gravity reasserting itself. But the shadows pressed on. Visions swirled faster, suffocating him with suffocating screams still welling in his ears. A twisted figure loomed larger, a woman draped in dark fabrics, eyes glinting like shards of glass. Who are you? He gasped, the question barely formed before the shadows sucked the breath from his lungs. Her mouth moved, but the screams drowned out her voice, transforming into a dark, obsessive chorus, resonating with grief and betrayal. No! Thomas roared, clenching the parchment tighter, willing it to respond. I am not your puppet. I will not be eaten alive by my past. In a blinding flash, everything changed. The chamber erupted in vibrant colors, hues of scarlet and gold, tearing through the gray fog of despair. The spectre materialized before him, ethereal and radiant, casting a shield against the encroaching darkness. Now, speak to the truth, it urged, not just with your voice, but with your heart. This is larger than you. It's your birthright. As he took a step forward, the energy radiated out from the parchment like ripples on a pond, each wave crashing into the shadows, pushing them back. He could feel the essence of his blood, a pulsating fervor redefining who he was destined to be. Yes. He cried, I am more than my past. The shadows recoiled, and the figure of the woman twisted in pain, a screech escaping her lips that echoed through the chamber like a funeral dirge. Your choice. Your legacy. Do not forget her. Thomas stumbled back, mouth dry and heart pounding. Her identity pulsed within him, linked with loss, despair, and a flicker of hope. He gasped again, the weight of revelation crashing down hard. What have I done? What does it mean? Find her, the spectre urged, urgency electrifying its voice. She cannot be allowed to remain lost. Before he could respond, the spectral walls shuddered violently, portents of doom rippling through the very stones. The darkness howled, an unholy wind circling him, whispering secrets he dared not grasp. Gritting his teeth, Thomas turned his gaze toward the vortex, forming a passage, a gateway to answers buried deep in his blood. I will. He vowed, each word struck with conviction, I will find her. With one last desperate push, he sprinted toward the swirling darkness, knowing it would either lead him to salvation or consume him entirely. A final thought squeezed through his mind: what legacy would he leave behind? As he crossed the threshold, reality lurched, and with a final heart-stopping scream, the chamber fell silent. For a heartbeat, he was suspended between worlds, before plummeting headfirst into the unknown. What awaited him on the other side was undetermined, yet within his heart burned the promise of discovery, a promise laden with consequences, and in that moment of silence, a voice whispered back, "You should have never ventured here." The cold wind hit Thomas like a slap to the face. He stumbled into a dimly lit cavern, the flickering light revealing twisted rock formations that seemed to coil and writhe in shadows. Silence enveloped him, thick and suffocating. He blinked, trying to acclimate to his new surroundings, heart racing with adrenaline. "Where am I?" he whispered, his voice swallowed by the void. Memories of the chamber, the implosion, the screams, the woman flooded back in vivid flashes. Questions swirled. Was he truly free of the darkness, or had he merely exchanged one prison for another? As he steadied himself, staring into the depths of the cavern, a chill crept up his spine. Something was lurking in the shadows, fangs glinting in the meager light. Fear prickled at his skin. He pulled the parchment closer, its pulse steadied by his racing heart. "I must find her," he muttered, feeling the weight of his promise. Pushing forward cautiously, he navigated the jagged floor, each step echoing like a heartbeat in the gloom. The cavern opened up into a chamber adorned with inscriptions that flowed along the walls, like ancient warnings etched in stone. Words caught his eye, frantic and messy: betrayal, victory, love, lost. Thomas gulped. Each term resonated with him, igniting a deep connection. What had he truly uncovered about his lineage? Suddenly, the air shifted. A hiss cut through the darkness, reverberating off the stone walls. From the shadows emerged a figure, cloaked in fabric so dark it seemed to absorb the light around it. Thomas's breathing quickened as he squared his shoulders, unwilling to show weakness. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. The figure stepped closer, its eyes glowing like embers in a forgotten fire. "I am a guardian of the gate," it rasped, voice layered with echoes of countless souls. "You invited the shadows, and now they wish to collect." "What do you mean?" Thomas took a step back, adrenaline surging through him. "The woman you seek," the guardian continued, "exists on a knife's edge between worlds. Finding her will not be the end, it is just the beginning. The shadows will feast on your doubts, your fears. They thrive on despair." Fury ignited within him. "You think I'm afraid? I've faced them. I've confronted darkness." Yet, the guardian's eyes narrowed. "Can you confront your own?" A sliver of doubt danced in its tone, unsettling to Thomas. He clenched his fists, the energy of the parchment vibrating through him. "I will confront whatever I need to. I need to know. What's my legacy?" A murmur of laughter echoed from the corners of the cavern, swirling around him like smoke. "Legacies are forged in the fires of truth and sorrow. You must embrace both." "Embrace?" he sneered, rage giving way to uncertainty. "What if it tears me apart?" "The shadows will tear you if you allow fear to remain," the guardian replied softly, its tone almost sympathetic. "Everything has a price." Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the chamber. Thomas turned, heart pounding as a dark silhouette twisted in the corner of his vision. The whispering shadows were back, their hunger palpable. "You want our answers?" they taunted. "You want her? Lose yourself, Thomas. Your past will never let you escape its grasp. Shut up," he yelled, a mix of defiance and desperation. The cavern trembled as the shadows rampaged closer, clawing for him like wild beasts unleashed. Thomas stumbled, the parchment glowing fiercely, illuminating the faces of lost souls embedded within the walls. They stared back, eyes wide with fear and longing. "Help me!" he shouted, but the cavern only echoed back his plead. As the shadows loomed larger, ready to envelop him, he felt a tide of anger rise. He wouldn't be a victim any longer. He pushed the parchment outward, channeling all his will into it. "Leave me be." The words roared from him, exploding like fireworks, pushing back against the impending darkness. But as the shadows withdrew, a cold realization pierced through him: his fight was far from over, and with each confrontation, he would have to make a choice that could shatter the very essence of who he was. Suddenly, from the depths of the shadows, a familiar whisper called his name. A voice he recognized, the same haunting tone he'd heard before. "I'm waiting for you." Panic seized him. He knew then the true test of his courage had only just begun. Was he ready to face what was waiting for him beyond the darkness, and would it reveal the legacy he'd been searching for? As despair reached out like claws, Thomas took a shaky breath and prepared for the storm to come, clarity glimmering just beyond the chaos. But as the shadows crept closer, he felt the edges of his resolve fraying. The shadows writhed, hungry and desperate. Thomas's heart thudded like a war drum in his chest, each beat a reminder of his growing fear. The darkness clawed at his resolve, and each second felt like an eternity. He glanced over his shoulder, half expecting to see the familiar figure, only to find it replaced with whispers and echoes of those he had lost, their faces flickering in and out of sight. "I'm waiting for you." The voice curled around him, seeping into his bones, urging him forward yet holding him back. He steadied himself, determined to fight the encroaching dread that he sucked in a deep breath, each inhale sharp with cold air that tasted of decay. "Show yourself," he shouted, his voice breaking against the stone walls. "I'm not afraid." Then, from within the darkness, a taller silhouette emerged. This one walked with a strange grace, its form shifting and contorting. Just when he thought he couldn't bear the tension any longer, the figure stepped into the light of the glowing parchment. That it was her. The woman he had lost, Samantha. Her ethereal beauty remained unchanged, yet the look in her eyes was profoundly haunting, more shadow than light. "Thomas," she whispered, her voice low and melodic, like the softest of chimes. "You came for me." "Of course I did." Panic bubbled as he took a tentative step closer. "But I thought you were gone." "I'm caught between two worlds." Her voice quivered, filled with a strange sadness. "The shadows are my guardians and my jailers." "Why?" Thomas demanded, his hands shaking. "I don't understand. How can I help you?" A tremor ran through her form, the rush of shadows swirling around her like a storm. "You need to face your own darkness first. Only then can I be freed." Her eyes widened with urgency, piercing into him. "You must remember. What you forget will come back to haunt you." "Remember what?" he shouted, frustration boiling over as the shadows hissed in the corners of the cavern. "What is it that I need to face? What am I hiding from?" The shadows coiled tighter around them, relishing his angst. "Fear. Regret. Choices made in haste. They feed the darkness." Samantha's words hung heavy in the air, thickening it until it felt suffocating. A shudder ran through him. The memory of betrayal surfaced, unheeded warnings, moments of weakness, the choices leading to this fractured existence. Pain surged through his heart. Was this the legacy he was meant to carry? "There's always a price," the guardian's voice echoed from the edges of his mind, a relentless reminder of the stakes involved. "I won." Break, he declared fiercely, forcing the shadows further away with the light of the parchment while stepping closer to Samantha. "I've faced worse than this." "You haven't faced your heart," she urged, desperation lacing her tone. "It's more powerful than any shadow. Even the darkness you fear, it thrived on your silence." "Silence?" He searched her gaze, imploring her to guide him. "Tell me what to do." Instead, she just looked at him, her expression tinged with both hope and despair. "Face it and listen." Suddenly, the shadows surged forward again, this time with greater ferocity. Thomas felt the air swell and swirl around him, charged with energy and dread. He clutched the parchment tighter as memories burst forth, laughter mixed with screams, innocence fractured by betrayal. Each haunting image tore at him. "Fight!" A voice deep within him roared. "You know the truth." With a shout, he opened his eyes wide to the darkness. "I choose light. I choose to remember." In that instant, reality warped around him. Sally's form flickered, and the shadows screamed, recoiling from the burst of light that erupted from within him. The very fabric of the cavern trembled, plastering him against the wall as he braced for impact. "This is your legacy, face it." A disembodied voice thundered, crashing through the catacombs, and just like that, everything blurred, light and shadow woven together in a tapestry of chaos, but as darkness closed in, a shadow broke away, darting toward the depths of the cavern with piercing intensity. "Follow," it beckoned, leaving Thomas. With a chilling blend of fear and determination, what awaited him in that darkness? A life he thought he had left behind? With no time to second-guess himself, he bolted forward, ready to confront whatever ghosts lingered in the shadows. The whispers grew louder, and he followed each step a descent deeper into the heart of what he had avoided for too long. Would the truth save him, or consume him completely? The darkness folded in around him, thick and suffocating. Thomas's pulse quickened, pounding louder in his ears with each step deeper into the shadows. He felt the air grow heavy, almost electric, as if the very essence of his fears slithered around him, waiting for the moment of reckoning. "Can you hear them?" The shadow that had beckoned whispered, its voice a chilling blend of familiarity and sorrow. "They call for you." "Who?" Thomas pressed, his voice barely a whisper. The thought of decrypting the past felt like standing on the edge of an abyss, but he couldn't turn back now. Sweat beaded on his forehead as memories strained to break free. "What do you want from me?" "You hold the key," it murmured, and just like that, the space before him shifted. Images began to coalesce in the swirling darkness, snapshots from his life, tinged with regret. Each one froze the breath in his lungs that he saw her, Samantha, laughing in the sunlight. That warm smile now felt like a dagger twisting within him. Another flash flickered a fight, words thrown like knives. He could still hear echoes of anger and defiance, the terms of their bond unraveling under the weight of his decisions. "Stop. Please." Thomas cried out, pain ripping through him. "I don't want to remember." "Denying it will only trap you here, lost between worlds," the shadow warned, its figure merging with the crackling energy around him. Suddenly, he was tossed into another memory. He found himself standing in his childhood home, a warm, cozy place, now shrouded in darkness. The scent of fresh cookies wafted in the air, the laughter of his mother filled the corners of the room. But then, an abrupt shift, a shout, his father's rage, a shattered vase, and the suffocating hush that followed. "I will not be weak," he had declared, yet here he was, standing amidst the ruins of his own fears. "Face your past." The shadow growled, its voice an urgent plea shrouded in threatening undertones. "Only then will you find the path forward." With a heavy heart, Thomas took a step back into the chaos. Each memory washed over him like a flood, each one a weight clamping down on his spirit. He saw the choices he had made the moment he had chosen ambition over family, love over pain. The faces of those he had hurt floated around him, eyes filled with disappointment and despair. "No!" he shouted, clenching his fists around the parchment. "I refuse to let them haunt me. Are you prepared to confront the truth?" The shadow flickered, dark eyes searching his. "Now. Stand and fight." The voice resonated from deep within him, fierce and insistent. Trembling, he steadied his breath, letting the cold air fill his lungs, igniting the fire within. "I am ready," he shouted defiantly, feeling power surge within him. As if in response, the cavern trembled, shadow tendrils snapping violently as light erupted from Thomas's core, consuming the darkness like a wildfire. The walls echoed with a cacophony of wails, and he felt the shadows sink back, revealing a hidden chamber bathed in a strange luminescence. In that moment of clarity, he caught a glimpse of something invaluable, not just his own reflection, but the long-lost pieces of his heart, scattered yet whole. And at the center, a large metallic door towered before him, inscribed with intricate patterns and a lock that pulsed with energy. "Beyond that door lies your fate," the shadow intoned, its voice now a soft echo of encouragement. "But beware, not all truths are easy to bear." Thomas took a step toward the door, its presence daunting and powerful. He placed his hand against the cold metal, heart hammering, each beat a drumroll heralding the moment of revelation. What truth lay behind that door? Would it free him from the chains of his past, or trap him forever in the shadows that had claimed Samantha? There was no turning back now. With one last deep breath, he pushed the door, ready to unearth the secrets locked away, praying they wouldn't destroy him. Was he finally prepared to confront the ultimate truth? Just as the door creaked open, a sudden rush of wind sent a shudder through the air, and he was left wondering if he had the strength to face it. The door squeaked as it swung open, revealing a cavernous room that shimmered with a spectral glow. Thomas stood frozen in the threshold, heart racing, sweat pooling at the nape of his neck. What lay before him was a surreal montage of images, each playing out like a flickering film reel. His memories filled the air with palpable energy, hovering like specters waiting to be acknowledged. The intensity was breathtaking, drowning him in a flurry of voices and faces that echoed in his mind. There was Samantha again, tears streaming down her cheeks, her voice a haunting melody. You chose your ambition over me. Do you even see the pain you caused? The anguish in her words twisted like a knife as they reverberated through the chamber. Stop. I can't bear it. Thomas shouted, stepping back, wanting to close the door and escape. But it would no longer budge, as if the door had a life of its own, binding him to the truth he desperately wanted to evade. The shadow surged beside him, looming larger. You must confront them. Look around you, Thomas. It ordered that he took a hesitant step in. The air thickened, cold and sharp, wrapping around him as he ventured further into the room. Each footprint echoed eerily, adding to the disorienting cacophony of voices. Images transformed before his eyes, morphing into the figures of his past, his childhood friends, his father, mentors long forgotten. Each face wore a mask of expectation, of betrayal, their eyes churning with unresolved grievances. Suddenly, a flash caught his eye, his younger self, standing on the brink of a decision. The crossroads of opportunity and obligation. Will you choose her or the career? Echoed in his head, a mockery he couldn't shake. Thomas felt himself sink deeper into the memory. You think you can just leave them all behind? You're a coward. Anger fueled his resolve. No. He shouted, his voice rising above the haunting chorus. I want to let you trap me. I can't change the past, but I can shape my future. With renewed determination, he turned away from the images that had once paralyzed him, shifting his focus to the luminescent lock that pulsed softly on the grand door. It drew him closer, vibrational waves tugging at his skin. Something about it felt significant, a bridge between guilt and freedom, fear and acceptance. Unlock it. The Shadow's voice was a crescendo of urgency. Discover what lies behind. Thomas extended a trembling hand, fingers hovering over the intricate designs of the lock. Each groove hummed with energy, as if holding the power to his very essence. Would turning it release all that he had concealed? Truths dragged from shadow into the blinding light. The thought sent a tremor through him. Would he dare? A flood of courage surged within. He grasped the key, an ancient artifact hidden in his heart, crafted from regret and hope. Would it fit? He pressed it against the lock, feeling warmth radiate between them. The lock responded, twitching slightly but refusing to turn. A moment of silence settled around him, thick with anticipation. Believe in yourself, Thomas. You have the strength. The Shadow's voice swelled, a force of unwavering belief. He inhaled deeply, focusing all of his willpower. He twisted the key with a decisive motion. The lock clicked audibly, reverberating with a sound like breaking chains. As the door swung wider, a bright light burst forth, illuminating everything in the chamber. Shadows retreated, but what lay beyond was shrouded in an overwhelming brilliance. Welcome to the revelation, whispered the shadow, its voice now an echo of pride. What awaited him in the light? Danger? Redemption? And beneath the dawning realization flickered the question that would haunt him: could he truly embrace what lay ahead, or would the truth break him? He took a step forward, heart pounding, anxiety clawing at his insides. The moment had come. Would he step into the light or be swallowed by the darkness once more? As Thomas stepped into the radiant light, it was as if he had crossed an invisible threshold, leaving behind trepidation and doubt. The brightness wrapped around him like a comforting embrace, lifting the weight from his shoulders. But he knew better than to trust it blindly. The truth always dared to confront those brave enough to seek it. Suddenly, colors burst forth in a kaleidoscope of vistas, faces crystallized into clarity, memories piecing together like a beautiful mosaic. The warmth emanating from each figure felt both alien and familiar as smiles split the air, laughter chiming like bells in the distance. But flickering underneath was an unmistakable sorrow. He recognized the faces, his family, his friends, and yes, even Samantha in her ethereal glow. Their expressions reflected his past choices, each anchored with longing, love, and pain. Thomas, Samantha's voice penetrated the jubilant chaos. You've come so far to face what must be acknowledged. Are you ready to accept the legacy that binds you? I am, he said, each word firm, filled with newfound resolve. The brilliance around him pulsed with life, encouraging him to gaze deeper into this interwoven fabric of memories. I choose to confront my truths. As he made his way through the shifting frames, a scene erupted, a confrontation from his past. His younger self stood at a crossroads, faced by Samantha begging him to choose their future together. Images flickered, and he heard his impulsive voice declaring his commitment to ambition over love. A sharp pang of regret clenched his heart, gripping him tightly. No. I won't be haunted by this moment anymore. He roared, pushing through the phase until he stood before the versions of himself that repressed the memories. He locked eyes with his former self, vulnerability lacing the air between them. You were scared. You thought ambition was your only path, but you were wrong. The figure looked on, stunned, as the emotions cascaded like a waterfall. You're me. Yes. Your fear of loss was real, but the love we had was worth fighting for. Thomas felt the pulse of acceptance surge through him. He was these memories, and they were part of him, every regret an integral stitch in his life's tapestry. That he stepped closer, until he could almost touch his younger self. Do you understand now? Our worth isn't defined solely by ambition. It's in our connections, in our choices. You need to choose love over fear. The moment crackled, a flash of recognition sparkling between the two beings. The air shifted again, the previous weight of regret melted away, replaced by freedom. The collective memories shimmered, transforming into a spiral of energy, showcasing a life shaped through compassion and kindness. Landing upon Samantha, he felt her essence ripple with hope, a reflection of the love they had forged and lost. As the memories blended with the present, Thomas reached out, gripping her hand. I'm here now. I won't leave you again. In an instant, everything around them coalesced into a soft glow, and the pain of the past began to recede. You faced the shadows, she spoke softly, and you rose above them. Together, we can forge a new legacy. A wave of warmth enveloped them, washing over the shadows that once lingered in doubt and betrayal. The clarity of their bond turned the darkness into whispers, mere echoes of the past. Around them, the spectre guardian returned, eyes aglow with approval. You've embraced your journey, Thomas. You've turned the shadows into light. It's time to ascend, a new beginning awaits. With hearts entwined, Thomas and Samantha stepped forward together, hand in hand, embracing a legacy forged not just in blood, but in love, understanding, and the choice to confront their truths. They were ready to face whatever came next, together. And as the glow began to expand, they emerged from the cavern, ready to walk into the future they had created anew. As Thomas gazed ahead, he felt the lingering warmth of what he had found, the pain transformed, the fear overcome. The past, no longer a chain, became a guide, a reminder of how far they had come. But in those precious moments of clarity, one thought loomed large: this was just the beginning. The echoes of laughter rang as they stepped into a vibrant world outside the cavern. The sun warmed their faces, bathing them in radiant hope. Together, they promised to continue shaping the future, unafraid of the shadows that dared intrude, and as their hands squeezed tightly, a vast expanse awaited them, a tale yet to unfold as they stepped into the world bathed in light, determined to embrace the legacy of love they had fought to reclaim. You've come this far in the story, now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories that will leave you breathless. Smash that like button now if this journey moved you at all, and help our community grow with your voice. Flood the comments section below with your reactions, thoughts, and theories about Thomas and Samantha's epic journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. The time is now. Let us continue to build this amazing community together.